This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. This is the Memorial Day weekend episode. Or should I say the Memorial Day episode? I was thinking to myself, listen, I've got to do this week's podcast. What am I going to talk about? And I said, well, what is it? It's Memorial Day. Or it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm recording this on a Friday. So this is the weekend of Memorial Day. What is it? And I got thinking, you know what? Maybe, because I know years and years ago, my dad would remind me that, listen, even though it's traditionally the start of summer, that's what Memorial Day weekend is. This is the traditional start of summer. But it's also Memorial Day where we remember those who gave their lives in defense of the country. So my dad would remind me of that it's not just a time we get together for barbecues, get family together, cocktails, outside get-togethers, officially the start of, or unofficially the start of summer, but it's Memorial Day. It's a holiday that we are to celebrate the lives of soldiers, troops that gave their lives in defense of the country. And originally it started, so I thought I'm going to look into a little bit of history of Memorial Day. Now, I'm not going to get off into the woods on this because you can. If you look up online, you can get off into the woods on what Memorial Day is, when did it start, and what the total history of it is. There's actually 4 or 5 different stories or places that claim where Memorial Day started. There's one story of several ladies in Pennsylvania, 1868-ish. They went to the gravesite of some Civil War soldiers and they adorned their graves with wreaths and flowers. And they say that's where it started. They also state that there's a story about Charleston, South Carolina, where a large group of African-American soldiers and freed slaves, they went down there to commemorate and decorate the graves of those soldiers who fought in the Civil War. So it has since now become a time that we memorialize, we remember those who gave their lives in defense of the country in any war. And so Veterans Day in November is something different. Memorial Day traditionally started remembering those who gave their lives in the Civil War. Now in 1868, there was a General Logan in Washington, D.C., and it was some military, he had whatever his title was in Washington, but he wrote a general order stating that May 30th will be a day that we come together to decorate the graves of those soldiers. At the time he was talking about the Civil War in defense of the country. They lost their lives in defense of the country. We will decorate their grave sites with wreaths and flowers on that particular day. As a matter of fact, originally the designation was Decoration Day. So it wasn't even Memorial Day. It was considered Decoration Day. And everybody would get together to decorate the graves of those who gave their lives in defense of the country. And General Logan wrote in his general order, because not only on May 30th will we come together, and now, of course, the holiday is the last Saturday of May, but we will come together to honor those, because there is not he wrote in the order, there is not a city, town, village, or hamlet where there is not a gravesite of someone who gave their life in defense of the country. And so it started off as Decoration Day, where we would come together to decorate the gravesites. And it has since become Memorial Day, which makes sense, in memoriam, to remember. And so on this Memorial Day, and I encourage you, as long as I'm going to tell myself, I'm going to make sure that I do it, is I'm going to be more heavily on the thoughts of those who gave their lives in defense of the country, so that I could come together with family and friends and barbecue and celebrate the beginning of summer. And because of their sacrifice, I'm able to do that and enjoy all the benefits of this still great country. So I encourage you to do the same. And if you know anybody else who might, maybe they should remember more on why we're celebrating this day and or weekend. In fact, it was 1971 when it was officially made a federal holiday. So there's a couple of different locations. There's several locations where they say it started in New York. Someone said even there's an article in online that says in Waterloo, New York is where the official start of Memorial Day really started, or Decoration Day, which became Memorial Day. But so not just the start and kickoff of summer, we're remembering in memoriam of those who sacrificed so that we could enjoy our kickoff of summer and time together with family and friends. I was reading somewhere else online that there are still some traditions on the books. What that means on the books, I don't know. But I think I'm trying to remember if I've seen some of these traditions. Well, one of these traditions is that one of them is that on Memorial Day, you fly your flag at half staff until noon, and then you raise it to full staff. I'm going to do that. I encourage everybody who's listening or watching to do the same thing. I'm going to do that this Memorial Day because it's going to remind me. Also, Congress encouraged Congress encouraged all Americans to, at 3 p.m. local time, to take a moment to remember those who gave of their lives in defense of the country. So I'm going to do those two things this Memorial Day, everybody, and I encourage you to do the same. And if you want or think you should share this with somebody who might want to do the same. So I'm going to, on that morning, Memorial Day, I'm going to put my flag at half-mast until noon, and then I'm going to raise it to full staff. And at 3 p.m. local time, I am going to raise my glass, and you should do the same. If you're imbibing, which I'm going to have a cocktail in honor of and remembrance of those who gave their life in defense of the country. 3 p.m. local time. And so that's what I decided to have this episode about. And so a short episode, but I think it's appropriate on this Memorial Day weekend that we remember. And listen, everybody, thanks for being part of the team here. And if you're watching and or listening on YouTube and you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. There's a couple of you who do, and I really appreciate that. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, subscribe to the show. And please leave a comment or two because it tells the computer people are interacting with the show. They show it to more people who are part of our tribe, our group of people that are high achievers who are trying to be better humans every day in every way. We're getting better and better, everybody. Thanks for checking in the Cliff Yates Show. See ya, hear ya at the next episode.